Hello everybody, welcome into Rock Painting 101. This week I am going to show you how to blend with paint pens on rocks. And I've kind of been in this like massive rainbow kick the past couple days, so you guys are going to get a full-blown blended rainbow rock. Good morning, Rhonda. Hello, Jerry Lynn. So I've got two different rocks here. One is base coated, just spray paint, then white base coat, and one is directly going to be onto the rock. There's nothing on here. I'm going to show you the same thing on both rocks, and there are a little bit of slight differences that you'll see, but for the most part, you'll be able to recreate what we're doing here. Hello, Terry. Hello, Phyllis. I've got one here on the side. I started to do my edge, so we're going to blend the entire spectrum of the rainbow, and you'll see how easy it is. Like I said, I've got two different ways I'm going to show you. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Tanya. And hello, Veronica. I'm so glad that you're all stopping in today. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to kind of go over what we've been doing this month while I start on my rock. Now, you can make your rainbow go any way you want. Obviously, you want the colors in the correct order. But like if you want to have a certain color in the middle for your design, I like to have the darker colors in the middle sometimes, but you can do whatever you would like to do. So I'm going to start on one end of my rock here and just start basing out my stripes. And I'll kind of explain what we've been doing so far this month. We decided this year on the page that we were going to tackle certain things each month that people have a hard time with rock painting. Last month we did a whole bunch of Zendangle rocks. So sometimes it's going to be a technique that we're going to work on. And we had a lot of people asking about blending on rocks. There's a lot of variables that go into how to get your blending done on a rock. Depends on the kind of rocks you have, the medium you like to use, whether it's paint pens or if you want to use acrylics. So we're just going to do lives all month long of different techniques and ways that you can blend on your rocks. And so I did leave the link to the landing page on our site where you can get to all the different tutorials, including last week's is listed there as well. Hello, Hadley. Hello, Barbara. So I'm just trying my best right now while I'm just blocking out the colors, not to actually touch. I don't want to pull the colors together quite yet. This is kind of a funny shaped rock, but I figured it would work just fine. And if you're just joining in, this one is just base coated white. We're also going to do one on a raw rock so you can kind of see the difference of how you can blend depending on what surface you're working on. So I've got all my colors almost here. I've got yellow last here, and then you can wrap back around. It's funny, I have a hair on my rock. I probably dropped one when I was base coating it. There we go, all the way to our yellow. And I always like to start and end with the same color because a rainbow will kind of wrap all the way back around. Good morning, Jenny, Linda, Donna. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in today. All right, so we're back around the other side. I've been editing rainbow rock videos all morning, so that's why I'm doing a rainbow blend today, you guys, because I've just got rainbow rocks on my mind. All right, so now that you have your color spectrum all the way across, I'm going to show you just how easily you can blend them without using the tips of your pens. Some people, no matter how many times I've shown that I do it, they don't want to blend with the tips of their pens, so I'm going to show you both ways. Now I've got water over here, and sorry, it's a little bit out of screen. Let me pull it down. Got water over here and just like a wash rag off to the side. So you get yourself a paintbrush, and you get your brush a little bit wet, but then you wipe most of it off. Also make sure, sometimes you'll get water up into the metal casing of your brush, so kind of make sure you're dabbing it off. You always want to start with the least amount of water as possible, and then you can add more if you need to. I like to do my lighter colors first before I get my water all muddy. So we're just going to start here in between our yellow and orange. Just go right along the seam and you're going to wiggle, not with a lot of pressure, but you're just going to kind of make tiny little circles and kind of wiggle that seam together. Just that easy. And let me pull up here closer here for you. See if I can keep you in screen. It's harder to hold a rock, like hover a rock while you're painting, than having it on a surface. See, as you can see, it kind of just blends right together. Just kind of wiggle. I'm not using a lot of pressure because you don't want to actually remove your paint. You're just blending that seam. See? So we're going to go ahead and rinse off our brush. Again, dab, dab. And I'm going to do the other side of the yellow here. And sometimes when you first go down, you'll be like, ah, it's not moving. But if you have a base coated rock, usually once you get that water moving on there, you can get it to start moving. If your color has dried too much, which sometimes can happen, it's as easy as drawing a stripe on either side of the line. I feel like my green is more wet than my yellow here. So what I can do very easily is you just come back and do the outside stripe. You don't obviously have the color in except right there because I have a little pit in my rock. Just a line right along the edge. And then you'll just go right back with that brush and pull that down into your green. Again, I'm using a very light touch with my brush, like so. And you can kind of wiggle it back and forth. Now you're going to continue doing this along your entire rock. You can go back and forth between your colors. If you're taking a while in between, like I said, you can always go back and add more of that color on there. Sometimes once it's set a little bit too long, you need to kind of freshen up that paint because these pens do dry really fast, which is a good thing most of the time. Sometimes when you're trying to blend, if you don't want to blend on your actual pens, can make it tricky, but you can definitely do it. So we're gonna go do one more color here, just like so. See when they're nice and wet, you can really get across there really fast and easy. There we go, just like that. And we'll just make our way through our rock here. And we'll just, I know if the other ones were dry, these ones are definitely gonna be dry. We're just going to put that paint right back on there and put these together. Now, once you've got some fun base coated rocks with a nice blended background, like on top of these rocks, I'm going to do plain white, either words in white, or I think I might do like a coloring book style rainbow since the color will be kind of offset. I think it might look kind of nice. I think that will be kind of fun. So I'm just going to get this one, kind of wiggle it so that it kind of goes back and forth a little bit. And I'll pull that up so you can see the blue and purple and that blue and green there. There you go. And I wasn't going to go all the way, but I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way. I've got one that's kind of done over here. I was going to just show. But we're also going to do this real quick. But I'll show you how much faster it can go even on a non-base coated rock here in a minute. Now, if you're working with like fresh paint like that, you really want to get the moisture off your brush. Otherwise, it will get really wet, and you don't want it super wet. You'll end up washing kind of your paint away. So just be careful with that. If the more wet your pen still is, the less water you need. I'm more putting my brush in here to rinse off the previous color, and then I'm wiping as much of the moisture basically off as I can. Otherwise, you'll end up washing away your paint. You don't want that. And this will be the last one over here. We'll blend this little seam. And just that easily, we've got ourselves our rainbow rock. And I kind of want to go back and redo this seam here. It's driving me nuts. All right, let's see here. The base coat, Julie, I'm sorry. I'll answer questions at the end here too. Julie asked if the base coat is acrylic. It's actually spray. If you spray paint, it's this one actually. I have it here. Imagine that is actually an arm's reach. If you do get something like this is Color Max. It's got primer in it. So you can definitely, if you're gonna get spray paint to base coat your rocks, get something with primer, because then you can usually get away with one coat. And a lot of times I do a light white coat. You could do a second coat or possibly, you know, a thicker coat, but I usually end up covering most of it. It does help with some of the colors to kind of pop on your rock with one paint coat, but it's been so cold here. It's hard for me to get to spray paint base coats. So I base coat lots of different ways with my rocks. It just really depends a lot on the weather and what supplies I've got around. Linda, it's one of those things. This technique is definitely something, it takes a little practice to get used to. I think the biggest thing people have actually end up doing, I didn't get those colors very close to it. The biggest thing people end up doing, I think that makes them mess up with this process, is they use too much water. If your brush is too wet, you'll end up saturating your paint too much, because these paint pens are water-based. So just like acrylic, if you add too much water to your acrylic paint, it just ends up watery. And that's what will happen to these paint pens as well. All right. All right, Haley says the sound is gone. Okay, Julie says she can hear. Maybe Haley, if you try to refresh, I'm saying this to her, but she definitely can't hear me as I'm saying it. All right, so there we go. I'll bring it up nice and close here. So as you see, you can just blend multiple colors together, so they don't have to be on the same side of the spectrum in order for you to kind of get them to blend together like this. She says, okay, must be mine. Oh, that's too bad. Somebody reply to her, try to refresh, because I'm saying it, but she definitely can't hear it. Now, for the people that are a little bit more, possibly, I don't want to say adventurous, but have had their pens a little longer, I guess you could say trustworthy, maybe? I don't know. I'm going to show you another way that you can put and blend paint pens on rocks. And there is a tutorial where I did this with just 2 paint pens on the site already, so you may or may not have seen this, or you've maybe tried it yourself before. I'm gonna go with more of a traditional. Start the same way here by just blocking out. Now I am working straight onto a rock this time. That's not why I'm blending this way. This is just a secondary way that you can do this. The first while I had my pens, I definitely didn't do things like this. So if you're new to paint pens and it makes you nervous, you're not the only one. So it's just one of those things. The longer you have a toy or a supply, you start playing more and more. So I'm just gonna block out my colors like last time, get them snug together. Now, as you can see already though, working directly on a rock causes some of the paint to absorb into your rock. It's just gonna happen. That's the way a rock surface is. So you will probably need a second coat on some of your colors. The darker colors seem to be a little thicker. I usually don't have as much problems with them. For a second there, I thought I was going out of order. I do suggest to keep your paint pens. I'm not over here doing this, but if you keep your paint pens in order on the side, you're less likely to pick up the wrong pen. So we're gonna go, see how much darker that blue is? The blue, green, and purple are always so much darker. And I'm not 100% sure why that is. I've had all of these pens the same amount of time. They last a long time, you guys. I've had these basically as long as our Facebook page has been around. It was one of my first rock painting purchases. Okay, so now, the same as when I was blending on the other rock, I like to do my lighter colors first for some reason. Now I will end up putting another yellow coat right down the center of this when it's all said and done. But now I'm gonna take and I'm going to blend my yellow right into my orange. So I'm gonna go right here, right along my orange line and kind of go over it just a little bit. Now, since I'm working right on my rock, my orange has absorbed in just a smidge, but as I go back and forth, you'll see that some of that orange will pick up, and then just doodle your tip off. And then I'm gonna go right back with my orange and go along that same line and do the same thing. Not pressing super hard, but I'm going right along that line. And then doodle it off, and then you can go towards your upper line. And then we're gonna do our red. And I know some people don't like to get their tips mixed and matches with the colors, but as simple as just doodling it off on the piece of paper will get most off right away. I'm gonna go along the seam first to get that blend, and then I will show you with this red because it's the one I have open. If for some reason, like I even let my little ones use my paint pens, you end up with another color on there, you go super dark, and you've left it too long, these actually come out, and I'm gonna grab paper towel because I don't want my fingers covered in paint. I know I've showed this before, but you can actually take your tips out of your paint pens. First of all, you can reverse it if you've worn down your tip from drawing directly on the rock. That's the same side, so you just put it in backwards. But you can also rinse these out in water because the paint is water soluble. So it's just nice to know. I've only had that happen once where after doodling it off, I must have missed doing it or something along those lines. So, but like I said, some people get nervous about it, but I've been using these pens for over a year. As you can see, the colors are still the correct colors that they were before. So I'm gonna go in with my green and my yellow. See, this one might even be more scary to some people to do your yellow and green. And as you go along, you'll see you'll pick up green. Look at that. See how much is on my tip? I promise it's okay. I'm gonna go all the way along that seam. And I know I'm missing a lot of your comments right now. I will peek up for questions here in a second, but see how fast that came off? See that? It's back to yellow again. So I'm gonna end up coming back here and doing probably these top 3 layers with another coat. And I think somebody said, oh, if you do it on a base coated rock, and maybe they missed the beginning of the video. Yes, definitely. If you have a base coated rock, you won't need a second coat for these lighter colors, but I just wanted to show both ways here in this video today because we're all trying to get better at blending on rocks this month. And we'll go back up here with our blue. Now, as you get to the darker colors, you will find that they'll be a little bit more overpowering. So like blue to me, see how it doesn't quite mix in with the green. So when you find the stronger of the two colors, what I do is I pick the lighter one to come back to do the blending. So I will choose the green to do the blending line because it's the lighter of the two. Just like that. And again, and I have, you should see, I have boards like this everywhere, just doodles and drawings. I may have to frame them one day and put them all over my walls because they're actually pretty cute. All right, our last color here, so I'm going to do the bottom line here. And I think I forgot to do the blue side, so we'll go back with blue there because that's, my blue got really small. Make sure you don't have any green on that. Come right along that line. And again, see blue? See how strong blue is? Sometimes I wish all of them drew that thick. Excuse me, one last time here. The purple. All right, now our top is getting pretty dry. So once it's dry, I find that the color actually seems a little thicker sometimes. But I'll still do another layer on those as well. Now, if you find that you've got a line that's a little too harsh, like I said, once it's dry, you can do the exact same thing over again. Like, you know, this line here with the green and yellow seems a little thick to me. So you can kind of just come back in and fade it together a little bit more. Okay, so like I said, all of these processes, the more you do them, the better you will get at them. Like any kind of art, it's a process, it's a learning curve. Here's the other one that we did, if somebody was asking about it on a base coat. So you can blend on a base coat or directly on your rock. You can use a brush. We used a brush with this one, or the pen tips like this. Sandra, I do not sell my rocks. I hide mine around locally for people to find. And so everybody give the blending a try. Even if you just got paint pens, you can still blend on rocks. So everybody have, again, a wonderful day. The link up above sends you to our website where you can find all of the different blending techniques that we use. And hopefully you can find something that works great for you. Bye-bye, everybody.